Right, hello there everyone, welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to another Redmond Roundup. On today's agenda, we've got a couple of juicy topics and one that I think you, if you're a Liverpool fan, will be happy about. A year ago, we signed a Portuguese-English kid called Fabio Carvalho. A lot of people were excited. Now, actually, the news generated not the January just gone, the January beforehand. We were actually supposed to sign him before last summer. Now, here's the thing, the deal got delayed and somehow we confirmed the deal the first couple of days into the summer transfer window last year. And he's played a couple of games, he's made a few good impressions. He got a goal against Newcastle United and he's had a couple of other moments. And, you know, you can certainly see that there's ability there, there's technical ability. And I too am very disappointed to have not seen him play. I think it's a shame, but I think it's mostly because of the system, and I think Klopp has had the belief he's mainly a number 10 and he needs to grow a little bit more before he starts playing in the 8. And also in terms of the type of winger that we want, we've got Gakpo, we've got Diaz, we've got Jota who can play on the left. There's just no real space for somebody like Fabio Carvalho because he doesn't suit the profile. But people have put two and two together. Fabio Carvalho hasn't played. Jurgen Klopp hasn't spoke about him too much. What does that mean? Does it mean that he doesn't like him? Does it mean that there's a disconnect? Fabio Carvalho hasn't seen best please. And here's the answer, what I believe. I believe it's a bit of all the above. I don't think it's just got to be one thing that has to be true. Maybe there's been a bit of a disagreement because, if you're Fabio Carvalho, you want to play, but then if you're Jurgen Klopp, you're saying, well, you don't adhere to my system right now, you're a number 10, we don't play with a number 10, and I don't think you're the best 8 that we've got, and I certainly don't think you're the best winger that we've got, so that's why you're not playing. Now, Fabio Carvalho believes he could do those roles, sound, and then Jurgen Klopp believes he can't. That's the disagreement. That's not bad. That's very common in football, as a matter of fact. So that's not the issue. But then when it was getting gaslighted to be perceived that, there's a disconnect between Fabio Carvalho and Pep Lijnders and, the club's not treating him right, I feel like the fans were very, on Fabio Carvalho's side opposed to the club side. And I thought that was interesting because, I feel like to invest heavily into a player when you've seen very minimal football, I can guarantee 95% of Liverpool fans haven't watched Fabio Carvalho previous to his tenure when he was at Fulham. I don't think they've watched any of the football. They might have watched the compilation. Anything else, I'd be surprised. Maybe some would have. I've watched minimal football. That's why I'm saying it. On top of this, if they've seen minimal football and then they've seen him play a couple of games for Liverpool, why are they so upset when there's a possibility Fabio Carvalho could leave? Well, it's because we've had a bad season. You go back to a couple of seasons ago when we were winning stuff. When Ryan Brewster was in the barbershops lifting Champions League medals, nobody cared. And nobody cared that he didn't play because even though he was a gem and he was a prospect, we didn't need him. We still had Sturridge, we still had Origi. So that's the point I want to make about heavily defending Carvalho. I think it's good to defend young players. I do. I just think people went very at the club. Is the opposition is what that was perceived to be. It was like the club are angry at Carvalho and was suppressing Carvalho. I don't think that was the case. And it looks like now it's resolved because Liverpool are not selling Carvalho. It took us 3.5 minutes to get to the good news, but that's the good news. Fabio Carvalho is going to stay and Liverpool at most will only loan him out to another club, which I think is very, very good. And I actually want to delve into what's the best move for Fabio Carvalho because people don't look into these things as much. When you're a business, it's very good to look at Fabio Carvalho as someone that you can profit off in future because you can. He's young, he's high profile, he's already got quite an established name in terms of an under 20 Portugal or English player, whatever you want to say, wherever he plays for now. I think it's England. But where's the best move if he's going to go out on loan? Because here's the thing that Liverpool have got to do here. There's a real... It's very good that we've got an asset like Fabio Carvalho because he's marketable. He's got a nice name and he's already played in the Premier League and, he's played for Liverpool already. That's good. If he now goes on loan, let's say to the Bundesliga, I feel like the Bundesliga suits Fabio Carvalho. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And let's say he goes to Bayer Leverkusen, feel like he suits the culture of the football club, or Borussia Mönchengladbach. I feel like one of these teams I think would really, really suit Fabio Carvalho and only increase the value. Now, here's what I'm also going to say, is that whether or not he ends up being a first teamer at Liverpool, a good loan spell this year is fantastic business from a Liverpool point of view. You go and buy a player for 7.7 million, he comes in, shows some good signs, but he doesn't quite work into the system, so you don't play him. You loan him out to a team, hypothetically in the Bundesliga. He does okay, increases his value by, let's just say 15 million for the sake of it. So now he's worth 25 to 30 million. When he comes back, maybe that Bundesliga team buys him, or another team in the Bundesliga buys him. Maybe he goes to Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bayern Munich. Look at Borussia Mönchengladbach and go, we could do with a Fabio Carvalho. Then they buy him. I'm not saying that's the guarantee. I'm just saying that that's a possibility. I like the idea of Fabio going out on loan because he's probably not going to play in the system for all the reasons that I've mentioned already. We've got Gakpo, Jota, and Diaz for the left wing. Even Nunes plays on the left wing, so Fabio Carvalho has got no room there based on Klopp's eyes. Whether you agree or disagree, that's just the way it is. And then if you think about number 8, he's not going to go above Henderson as a number 8. He's not going to go above Curtis Jones as a number 8. And, now we're bringing in more players, McAllister, etc., Thiago, if he's available. You're talking about very specific circumstances where we would need a lot of injuries to rely on a Fabio Carvalho in the midfield. We had a lot of injuries last season and he still didn't get a chance in the midfield. So, rightly or wrongly, I think it's too soon to really suggest Fabio Carvalho plays in that midfield or he plays on the wing. That's why I think a loan deal's good, because his value can only really increase if he goes out on loan and maybe he goes out and does shit. And then that's actually good as well, because then we've sent out a shit player on loan who we now know is crap and we now know we don't need a part of the plans. We've got a case study. So then we can work with him from there. And I believe that if we do loan him to the right club, the value will only go up. And if you get him to a club that, a system suits him, then trust me, by next summer, you're either selling him for a good chunk of money, which means you can go in and get somebody, or you've got a lovely established midfielder or attacker by the time that you get back. So let me know what you think about the Fabio Carvalho situation. I'm very happy he's staying. Although I thought the fans were very heavy on the club about the situation, I still think, it's a good situation to have a good young asset like that, because I feel like a lot of people will be interested in getting that type of player. Next thing and final thing I want to talk about, 2 things actually, is first of all, have you seen the Benjamin Pavard links that we've got with Bayern Munich? Bayern Munich have came out and said that they want to sell Benjamin Pavard for 35 to 40 million. Now, I like Benjamin Pavard. I believe he's a World Cup winner with France. I also believe he's well established at Bayern Munich for being a good right back, and I haven't watched much of him. I've seen bits and bobs. Looks like a very solid defensive right back. And if you want to go with the idea, this is kind of 2 topics in one, because you've got the Benjamin Pavard links, whether you want to legitimise them or not. Listen, I haven't saw any amazing sources to suggest it. I actually just want to reference the Fabio Carvalho news. James Pearce came out and said Fabio Carvalho isn't leaving. That's just so you've got a reference for what I was talking about earlier. Like I said, it's kind of 2 topics in one, because I want to talk about who do you want to play? How do you want the main midfield 3 to start next season? And then what does that mean for the right back? Here's what I mean. A lot of people will say, I want to see McAllister, Henderson and Fabinho, or I want to see Thiago, McAllister and Fabinho. Some people are even saying Bajcetic to start in the number 6, which I think is too soon, but I get it. He looks like a nice player. But then some people recommend Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then that means you've not got a right-back no more, because I'm assuming you don't want to start Conor Bradley this soon. I'm assuming you don't want to start Calvin Ramsey, because we've seen barely anything from him to suggest he could be the main right-back. So if Trent goes into midfield, what does that mean? Do we go and get Benjamin Pavard? And then does that actually take away from the team? Because now you've got a less offensive right-back playing in that position. Maybe you need to go and get somebody else to make it a more offensive right back, but then you want to get someone who's got a little bit of both, and then who do you get for that reason? So I'm thinking, do we go back to the old system? Go out and get a Kone or a Thuram or both, and then you keep Trent at right back, and then hopefully one of them will be able to play the role that Henderson used to play, where you drop into the right back role while Trent goes and bombs forward. I'm not saying that has to be the way that we do it, but Trent in midfield, to be moved into midfield directly instead of being an inverted right back, I don't hate the idea. I'm just thinking, how are we going to do this? And that's why I'm asking the question. Firstly, who do you think is going to start in the midfield 3? And if Trent is one of those midfielders, then who's going to be the right back? And if you need a new right back, are you happy with Benjamin Pavard? I think he's a proven winner. I just question, because I'm used to Trent being at right back, a very attacking fullback, so it's going to be a bit different to see someone a little bit less reserved. I mean, it'll be nicer to see somebody be more composed in those defensive situations, be more alert, better positioning and stuff like this, but it'll be strange to not, to see Virgil van Dijk lay it out wide to Pavard, for instance, and then you're not seeing those springs across the field, because believe me, they open a lot of attacks, and the way Trent can find a ball a lot of the time is, a game changer, if he doesn't have as much of the pitch to be able to see, which would be the case if he was moved into midfield. He's now got this part which you can't see. He's now got less space, because at right back and left back you do get a lot more space than what you're getting in that midfield, so it's a lot less time to think. And then does that mean, do you trust Trent's dribbling and ball control enough to be able to withstand in the midfield? Because the luxury about being at right back is that he's got all the time in the world to think. And you don't want to give a player with that ability of passing all the time in the world to think. It's just the way it is. So I am very, very looking forward to seeing how it plays out, just purely on an interest standpoint. But then I'm sitting there thinking, what's the best situation for Liverpool? And I think keeping Trent at right back and then getting a right back anyway is the best solution. Getting Pavard and keeping Trent at right back is the best solution. And then still going and getting Kone and Thuram. Keep the highest standards. But then I understand I'm not in the boardrooms, the meetings. I don't know the exact financial targets for the football club. I can only say what I read. But I understand the club have got financial targets. And if the financial targets are 50 more million to spend, you're not going to get Kone, Thuram and Pavard. But you can get Pavard and Kone, or maybe one or the other. I'm not too sure what the club are looking at this situation like. I'm just looking at it from a point of view thinking, right, we need players, we need to become the champions again, get everybody, because the more squad depth, the absolute better. And we're going through a transition anyway. So even though we don't like a big squad, we also know that Fabinho's older, Thiago's older, Henderson's older. I'm sure they can respect from an experienced position that they have been underperforming in recent times, and therefore competition is needed. And therefore, to learn from the likes of yourselves based on the experience factor, let's get these players in now, so then when they come in next year, they've got no leaders to look up to. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Liverpool, they've got a lot of ways that they can move. You look at this like a chessboard. They've got a very specific move that they can make next on the chessboard. It's just, what is that move? And I do believe it's going to be getting a midfielder. And I don't think we're going to get a right back. This is what I've got, an underlying feeling that we're just not going to get it. I believe what's going to happen is Trent's going to stay at right back, and Conor Bradley is going to be the backup to Trent, because he's now established within the English footballing league. Not the Premier League, but at Bolton he was the player of the season. He was a main thing that got them promoted. He scored multiple goals. So he even fits the profile of an attacking right back. And there's no signs, based on how we played at the end of last season, that we want to take away Trent from that role of being the inverted right back. Whether you agree or disagree, he should still play there. That looks like what we are going to do. Because there were still changes made before the end of last season, and I don't dispute there's going to be more changes made at the start of next season. But does Trent going to midfield happen? I think we would have saw it. Maybe that was the transition, maybe going from right back to inverted right back to midfield. So maybe there's something there. It's just because I've never seen it, so it's harder to believe it, I suppose. But let me know what you think about everything I spoke about in this video. Do you think we're going to get a right back? I'm pretty unsure, to be honest. I only see us getting a right back if it was necessary. If, God forbid, Trent got a injury in pre-season, that's when we go and get a right back. I don't think it's a super necessary option to dive into what is clearly limited funds to then go and get a right back when you still need a centre back, 2 midfielders, etc. But all remains to be seen, and that's why the transfer window is exciting. But let's just hope that, listen, we undersell, over-deliver on many degrees, and then I suppose FSG are in the good books for a little bit, but they've still got a lot of things they need to work on. So we'll wait and see. All in time. Anyway, much love to you and your mother. Smash a like on the video, because it gets the video a little bit more out there, so that'd be grand. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you all in a bit. Peace.